Oh shit! Oh, I
You did
forgot
it
about
again.
Maclunkey.
You did it again.
Well, fuck it. Maclunkey, there you go. AJ. You can do it again.
Welcome,
Jesus.
Maclunkey.
Welcome, everybody, to
Officially
She-Hulk
dead.
Episode 6 discussion. I'm joined today by the Lost Chef, AJ, Till
Hello.
Plays, and Brutal Richard.
Me.
And we have some exciting thoughts today on this awesome episode of She-Hulk. At least I thought it was great. So,
I thought it was nice.
Worst episode yet.
if that's true, I'm excited to hear your take. Good lord. Let's go around the table first. AJ, what'd you think of the episode in general?
I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it was my favorite one, but I enjoyed it. It was good. Good than a couple others.
Yeah. Richard, what'd you think? Desperately now I must know the real thing.
I watched this episode yesterday, and then I already forgot everything that was in it, so I had to rewatch it again today on Fast Forward to even vaguely remember
was a
anything
wedding
that
episode.
happened in this massive pile of forgettable garbage.
See, what a take. God damn. Till, hit me with your thoughts, please. Bounce
Yo,
back
yo,
from
what's
that.
up, party people? This was the worst episode.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, hands down.
It wasn't the
Holy
best,
crap.
but it wasn't the
Someone
worst.
agrees
for me.
with me.
Wow. Now,
Yeah.
now I'm going to completely flip around the table. This was my favorite episode so far.
Why?
Easily.
I don't understand how.
It
What makes
has
it your favorite, Sam?
I tried to like wrap my head around like what's the redeeming factor of this episode, and I could not find an answer.
I tend to
Nothing.
like bottle episodes usually where it's like not involved of the whole plot. I like when we're doing like just our little side stories. So like
Me too.
The
when they're done
comedy
well.
with this episode on that front, with like the wedding scenario and being She-Hulk, I thought like all together kind of came to make a really good episode. Even the opening bit where she was talking to the camera about like, oh, we know that you pretty much are expecting Daredevil this week, but joke's on you, motherfuckers. It's not happening. We're gonna do a wedding episode. I thought that was already like, I was like, that's good. That's funny. I wish they had done that in Book of Boba Fett, where they had waited a week to show the Mando after they teased it.
I felt the opposite. When she said that line, I was like, oh, the show's telling me this episode's going to suck. Great.
I was fine with the line. I'll be honest. I think I laughed a couple times in this episode. I don't remember what the moments were. They were just not memorable. And I'm fine with there being like a side bottle episode. I get that. I didn't think this episode really went anywhere, and I did not like the writing. I did not see a lot of the point in this episode. I know the point is the end, where they're teasing the intelligentsia and like who's the real person by the end of it.
See,
we
now
didn't
that
really
actually,
get
like, that part
anything.
of that episode was the part that took me out of it a little bit, where I was like, I don't really give a shit about that stuff. Like that to me is kind of like a side thing that yeah, I get that Hulk is talking about at the beginning that, like, your blood is going to be taken and all that shit. Like, they're going to want your stuff. And I get that we're going in that direction for the narrative, but it just was so, like... It was very Marvel-y, and I get that, like, I say that I'm a Marvel fan, yeah, but it was very, like... Oh, like, of course we have to do a thing at the end of this episode where it all actually meant something or some bullshit. And it's like, really? Like, that's why I like the wedding episode.
Yeah,
I got to keep you in. I
this
think
episode, go ahead. Sorry.
the only time that I think I found myself laughing in this episode was not because of good writing. It was just because I think that Tatiana Maslany, or however you say her last name, acts drunk very well. And so I found that somewhat enjoyable. And then the Mr. Immortal jumping out of a building made me laugh, only because that's exactly what I wanted to do during that scene.
See, that's the other thing, too, I was going to say. The Mr. Immortal, like, subplot this episode also was awesome. I thought that was hilarious.
I disagree.
I thought it was garbage. They could have done without that whole thing.
To be honest, the concept and the setup and everything, I think it was a great premise, but it was not pulled off well. And I'm like, well, this sounds like a fun idea. A guy who lives forever, keeps marrying, and he just wants to get out of it by just killing himself. I thought that idea was funny, but I did not find myself laughing during the subplot. I did not find like any of the characters. I was mostly confused this episode. I didn't understand a lot of the characters' decisions or thought process. Even Jen, The only characters I thought like were likable in this episode was Nikki and Mallory. Everybody else, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? I don't understand.
Yeah, like that was another thing like that didn't really why it didn't really reach the top for me is because like why the fuck did she even go to the wedding?
I know.
Well,
That's what I
that's
was
like a
thinking, like,
thing, right? Like, I mean, like, I don't want to go to any wedding that I've ever
But, like-
been to.
But like she was like she even said is like she hasn't talked to this like friend of hers for years and now she's invited as a bridesmaid. Obviously there's like some shit going down where they're just treating you like trash the entire time. Like why would she even go to that? And
I don't know.
dress up-
I've literally seen that in real life. I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's a lot of wedding situations for sure. Where it's like, I haven't talked to this person forever, but they've made me a bridesmaid out of some obligation because we were friends at one point. So, like,
Well, maybe
I
it's just
related
like
to it on that front.
I can only
You were a bridesmaid?
mention.
No, I
like,
wasn't.
yeah.
I was actually gonna be. I was gonna be a. What's the guy thing? I was
Groomsman?
gonna be a best man, but I actually said no. And I think that they brought that up in this episode where it's like you can't say no to these kind of things, and I was like, I did.
Who did you say no to?
His name starts with G. You know.
For me, I can only speak
G-Man
anecdotally
Gamer?
here, but anytime that I go to a wedding, even if I don't want to go to it, it's eventually like inevitably I'm going to see friends and people I care about. And this just seemed like Jen's friends are awful, shitty assholes, and she's also an awful, shitty asshole.
Yeah,
Like she
like,
shows up as She-Hulk at a wedding, and it's like you don't want people to see you as She-Hulk, but you knew exactly what you were doing when you showed up here as She-Hulk. You even look directly into the camera and say it.
Well, because
Yeah.
she knows that she's sexy as She-Hulk. I think that she's aware of that fact.
Yeah, because she's constantly surrounded by that, like people praising She-Hulk. Like people like She-Hulk, but they don't like Jen for some reason in the show.
That's the problem for me about it though, is that it just seems like Jen wants to complain and hate She-Hulk while simultaneously reaping the benefits of being She-Hulk at the same time. And it just
For
comes
me-
off as like frustrating and selfish.
I
think
probably
she would
would have
like
left
the-
that wedding as soon as they started treating me like shit.
Oh yeah,
Me too.
for sure.
I would have been out.
I would
Especially if I was
have
She-Hulk.
within
Especially if
seconds.
I had that kind of capacity, I'd be like, fuck it, I'm out of here.
I'm like, yeah, I don't care
Destroy
if
your
me
entire
leaving ruin-
venue.
Yeah, I don't care if this fucking me leaving ruins your wedding. You're a bitch. Bye.
Right.
She's not even like
Yeah, there's-
the highest of the ranking. She's just a normal like bridesmaid, so you could leave. You could just
Yeah,
get the fuck
yeah,
out.
right.
No, I get her wanting to go because
Yeah, because her
I
fucking
do-
groomsman like companion was a fucking chihuahua.
He was so cute though. I loved it. Oh, I loved him so much.
No, but I agree with the sentiment. Like, if you're invited to be a bridesmaid, you gotta go. But when they start treating you like shit, be like, no, you're like, I thought we were friends. Like, clearly
Right.
she had like some messed up memory of this friendship. They're just like bullying her, but she didn't realize that.
I think
But-
that's a lot of friendships in general like this, where it's
Yeah.
like you have a relationship with someone beforehand in like high school or something like that, and you didn't really realize that like that wasn't as good of a friendship as you thought.
Yeah, she should have left at multiple opportunities this episode.
Yeah.
I mean,
I have a
especially,
hard
like-
time.
Yeah, you got
Go ahead. I have a hard time, I guess, relating to Jen in any capacity because all I see is Jen has a great job. She has superpowers. She has good friends other than the wedding friends. She has money. The whole world loves her. Yet somehow the show is, I guess, trying to make me feel like I'm supposed to feel bad for her, and I don't understand why I should.
I would
in any
say
capacity.
in the regard of like I can see that it would hurt a person's emotions to be like not wanted as your actual self rather than
Yeah.
like the superhero version of you that like I know that she says she doesn't change, but I'm still hoping that we get a little bit of like a thing where it's like she is different. Like she is
Well, okay.
slightly
So here's
a different
my
mentality.
counter to that because I get that that's kind of what they're going for. I do. The problem is the reason people like She-Hulk more than Jen is because Jen fucking sucks. Jen's not a likable character. She's just an alcoholic. She does nothing outside of being She-Hulk other than drink or complain. Every time you see her as Jen, she's just whining about something. She's never done anything this whole show that is in any capacity productive or likable as Jen. She just complains.
I really got that feeling. I like Jen, but
I like Jen too.
I don't think she was like I did not like her this episode. I'm
It's
like,
an
what are you
interesting
doing?
take for sure, Richard, because like I like, I agree with you, kind of. I see what you're saying. Like, once you say that, I was like, while she is in Gen form a lot of the time, she is very kind of unlikable. I agree, but
Yeah.
like, wow, yeah, no, because I'm really going back through the show and trying to think of a moment where she was Gen that I was like, yeah, like that was a good part, but
That's my problem. Is like I don't want to not like Jen, but she doesn't do anything but whine all the time. Every single time she's shown, she's drinking at home, or she's drinking at a bar, or she's complaining about men, or she's complaining about work, or she's complaining about She-Hulk, and she has done nothing the whole show.
this is coming from someone who doesn't drink at all, really, and so like this is something I notice in these shows all the time that I feel uncomfortable a little bit when we so casually use drinking and like all this is like a casual little way to get rid of that pain. You know what I mean? Like, I know that is how it works, but like it's just weird that like they're trying to. They're not making that a plot point. You know what I mean? Like that's not going to ever be.
Well, no.
But it's just a casual thing that's happening in the background that isn't a problem, but it is a problem. You know?
I don't think they'll ever address it that way because this show is written by 38-year-old wine moms.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's to them, this is just normal behavior. Just drink your problems away and complain until you can become a superhero and wipe them out.
Like drink that full glass of wine before 11 a.m. and all that kind of thing.
Right.
That's
Like
why
I really want to like her.
In like the first episodes, like a lot of shows put a lot of emphasis on like drinking but not getting drunk. They're like, oh, you can drink all you want and not get drunk. I'm like, what the fuck's the point of that then?
Yeah, why even drink?
Hey, also
Yeah, like-
question on that front. So she
That's
only
fine.
doesn't get drunk when she's Hulk, right? And like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why she immediately sobered up when she turned into Hulk.
Okay. Gotcha. Because I thought the whole thing was that she just couldn't.
It's a-
like that she was like Captain America kind of, where she just couldn't get drunk.
That was also the reason why she was too drunk to turn into She-Hulk for a moment, so she quickly
Which was funny.
forgot.
That was
which
good.
was actually a reason to cut the camera so that way they don't have to show her transform.
I have been noticing that too. Also, oh my god! Thank you, Till. Dude, it irks me so much actually that we never see her go from point A to point B ever.
I think you do one time
One
in the
time?
first
When?
episode, and that's it.
Yeah,
She
you
does
do.
it when
Yeah,
she's
it's
when she's yelling at Hulk, and she changes.
she can
and
do it
immediately
in-
changes
Okay,
back.
yeah, okay, true. But like, I want to go back to that. I'm gonna look at that because I don't.
I'm
think
sure
that
we'll
they
see it
clearly-
if She-Hulk shows up in a movie. We will see that proper transformation, like the Hulk. But this is clearly they're trying to like rush the production of this thing. That's why we see so many like CG issues.
I do think
which
that
again
the
is the
CG
fault
was
of
worse in
Disney,
this
but-
episode too.
I thought it
CG
was
in this episode
better,
felt
but
real bad.
but mostly in the like because it was an outdoor area.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the lighting was better.
And we were
Yeah,
saying
and-
the clothing, right? Like the fact that she's
Yeah,
not
the clothing,
wearing like
too.
the suit the whole time, and then
Yeah.
I didn't pick this up the last episode apparently, but the way that the lawyer chick like called her up for looking like a football
Yeah.
suit or whatever, I was like, that's so accurately true and weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, it's the lack of fluorescent light bulbs and a better like outfit, I think, makes the CG pop and look better.
It
Yeah.
does make a big difference. I thought that she looked great when she first showed up wearing the blue and white polka dot dress. But
Uh-huh.
when she was wearing the pink dress that magically shifts sizes, I
True.
thought she looked really bad.
I gotta say, guys, in that first episode when she does the green change, they do cut away though. Like they do not do a proper like full on show
Really?
of it. They like cut to
Yeah.
her back.
Mm.
It's very like they haven't really done it, and I get that like in the movies they'll do a better thing of it for the budget reasons, but like that is a very apparent thing now that you said that. Like,
It's like,
think the only
yeah,
time
this
they-
like in a TV show, like changing from like live action to CG is a tricky process.
sure, but I mean like that's my problem with all these shows in the first place is we go into these with like expectations a little bit of quality, and it's just never gonna hit.
Yeah,
certain marks
that's
that, like-
that's a big problem is that people have been like led to believe that the quality of like every Marvel thing should be fucking perfect in every way and nothing could ever change that. So when it's less than that, people get fucking pissy and
I don't know,
whine
like
little bitches.
I kind of get it in
Fair.
a sense a little bit, where it's like at the beginning with Mando and like what was it, WandaVision, right? Like these shows looked really good, like they looked like goddamn cinema pieces practically.
Yeah, like
Yeah, that's
Mando
because
used technology
they're
that had never
flagship.
even been used
Yeah,
before.
like they had. That's what I'm saying. Like they had to get everyone in, and now they don't. Like they're like, well, that's
Yeah.
all that was. So have fun with all the crap now.
That's kind of my only issue with like the financial aspect of it. It's like, you know, they couldn't afford to do this and that, and it's like, why not? it's Disney. They can afford to do anything they want. They just didn't provide the money for it. And I just can't help but feel like, because it seems like when they want the show, any show that they produce to be high budget, it's there and you see it. But it's like they read a script and they're like, this one's going to be a stinker. Don't throw a lot of money at it.
I think I read somewhere that like Disney could afford to spend like $500 million a year and still stay afloat for like 500 years.
Yeah, it's they can spend an insane amount of money. They choose not to, and when they choose not to on certain shows, that to me is indicative of them knowing that this isn't worth spending the money on. It's not like like compare like Book of Boba Fett to like The Mandalorian. There's a huge difference in quality just in like money spent, and that's because they had to have read the Book of Boba script and been like, this is gonna suck. Just put it out and give it a few $1,000s and call it a day.
I think that it was more about. I think that one was more of like a. I don't know. Like I don't think that the script was out and then they were like, oh, it's gonna be shit, so give it a lesser a budget. I think that budget was already kind of pre-planned with the show, where they were like, I don't think that they went in with that show with the highest confidence anyway. In all honesty, like
yeah, that's fair. Which is so baffling to me too. Since
it's sad.
Boba started this whole
I think
thing,
this show was supposed to come out earlier. Like I think this was supposed to be planned before Miss Marvel. And there was
She-Hulk?
that rumor that it was delayed. Yeah, She-Hulk.
Yeah, it got cut to oblivion in the editing room too. I only know what I've read online, and I mentioned this in the first episode, but they cut a lot of stuff and chopped and like reordered this show. Like the episode where She-Hulk is training with Hulk was supposed to come later in the season, and all of the fourth wall breaking scenes are like that's all added later on. The whole show was tossed around for quite some time before they came up with a final product for it.
It's so crazy. I like sometimes they have such like a clear vision, and then for something where it's She-Hulk, where I'm like, it could be very easy to do this properly, and it's so floundered in the behind the scenes situation. Like I don't understand it, but
this is not the first project where they've done that.
oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like look at you, Ant-Man.
But like even more so recently, like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, that's a huge case of this sort of situation where that was completely scrapped and like the movie that we got was kind of like a last minute like let's hire on this guy, we have this idea, can we make this work, can we get these characters to cameo, and it was just like completely changed from the beginning concept.
That movie makes a lot more sense when you think of it like that.
Yeah, and it, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier was filming halfway through halfway through filming, and then the pandemic happened. They had to scrap a whole bunch of side story about a virus that was in the show. So that's why it felt weird and kind of where's this part of the story going? Is because they had to change all that. So yeah, like Marvel's been having to do this for quite a few projects for a while now. So.
Huh. What'd you guys think about the Titania fight?
That's so dumb because they amped it up. Like, first of all, why did Jen like even humor her? Like, I thought for sure she's gonna be like, after she's like, why are you so obsessed with me? I'm like, yes, that's the right thing to ask. Like, why the hell is she so obsessed with you? And then she's like, no, just turn to the She-Hulk so we can actually fight at this wedding where nobody wants us to fight. And like Jen kind of has the upper hand there, and she's like, "All right, fine, I'll do it this one time." I'm like, "What are you doing? Why are you entertaining her?"
Like as the second I see, like if I were her, and the second I see Titania, I'm like, "That's it, fuck it, I'm out, bye." I'm leaving.
Let's both of us fight very badly in a public place full of civilians.
And the fight didn't even last that long. She slipped on an ice cube and it fell on her face, so it wasn't even a fight.
It's so
See,
bad.
now I know that you guys are calling it dumb, but I mean, like, I don't know, like there was something charming about that whole element of it. I felt like I enjoyed how quote unquote lame it kind of was. Like it wasn't like a professional fight at all. And
look, the slipping on the ice cube bit, I can forgive that, but the rest of the fight just. It wasn't filmed good because you can have a kind of slapsticky fight with two characters that don't know how to fight and it can be done well. But this was just, it's like they filmed it like it was supposed to be a big action sequence and it falls flat because of the way that they did film it. And that was my problem with it. Is it just kind of looks wrong. It doesn't look like it's filmed appropriately. Like if you want to show off how bad they are at fighting, pan the camera out, show us how bad they are at it. Don't do like Dutch angles and like angles following the fist. Like Let me see how goofy they look, and that'll make this whole scene better. Because Jen's was drunk 6 seconds ago, and Titania's a damn Instagram model. Like, of course they're not going to be trained fighters. Let me see how goofy it looks.
I think it would have been.
instead,
I don't
nope.
know how this would have been taken by like the fan base, but I personally would have been totally okay with not even seeing the fight and just kind of like getting like Godzilla'd by it and like getting the implication of how shitty it was like through a video or something like that, and then being like, look at how bad they are at fighting people. Like,
Yeah,
totally.
I mean, honestly, like if the episode just didn't have that at all, it would have been a better episode.
I almost was like, because when Titania came to like help her when she was like thrown up, I almost was like, oh, this could be an interesting like dynamic, I guess. And then immediately she sucker punches her. I was like, oh, okay. So
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
She like sucker punched her out of nowhere.
yeah.
thought
I
it was a
always
little
forget
strange.
something that Titania has superpowers because she just seems so normal until suddenly, boom.
Well, I guess I thought that part was kind of weird because I liked it, but it's isn't that the whole point of like Hulk powers is like the Hulk takes over when your normal body's in
but that's
danger?
only if you have like another personality like Bruce does.
Yeah, like
Yeah, she
if you
doesn't
don't have a
have that.
handle on it, I guess like that he would just go out of control and go Hulk, right? But she kind
But
of
she can control it infinitely better than him. So
infinitely more than you can.
Well, I mean, like from like I don't. This is stupid, and I'm going to own that this is stupid. But from like a Hulk biological standpoint, right? Like the Hulk takes over like physically to prevent like mortal damage, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah.
Like, so I would have expected She-Hulk's face to have turned into She-Hulk face instead of Jen face when she gets smashed by Titania. You know what I mean?
oh,
Like,
dude, you
instead
know
of-
what would have been even funnier if Jen like looks up and like her face is fucking broken and then it goes back into place as she transforms back into She-Hulk.
That's honestly what I was expecting to happen. Because I
Yeah,
feel
like,
like in her normal form, I would have expected her to have been like she takes damage like that, and she goes
Yeah.
into She-Hulk form and it fixes.
See, they've
That
always
one
kind
gets
of
right
like
back
mixed on that front, right? Because like when in Thor Ragnarok, when like Bruce like fucking yeets out of the ship and just falls onto the ground, I was like, oh damn, like that would be
That was good, man. Like that was funny.
cooked
Do we
down
ever
the ground.
see,
I was like, holy crap?
Do we ever see Bruce get injured at any point without an inhibitor during like all of the MCU?
In
post
the
countdown.
What If, we see him blow up.
Yeah, well, that's an extreme situation. I guess the only other time was when he pricks himself in the like.
Oh, we see like
Yeah,
where he
Tony like
works.
shock him one time, didn't we, with like a cattle prod?
Yeah.
Yeah, it almost never happens, and when it does, like if Bruce is actually in a position where he's going to get hurt, he hulks out, and the Hulk
Yeah.
form is. I know it's like the other guy thing, but it's also the Hulk form prevents him from taking the
Yeah.
damage.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
kind
like,
of
I
thought that
wanted
like
to
She
know,
Hulk's gonna
like,
be the same way.
I know we're not going to see it because it's pretty dark, but when he talked about it in Avengers, like putting the bullet in his head or whatever, and like,
Yeah,
I
that's what I was
want to
thinking
know
of,
like
yeah.
how quickly that had to happen. You know what I mean? Like,
Right?
because if you shoot and then you're already greening out, you know what I mean? Like that would have been. I know it would be too dark for the MCU, but man, I would want
Definitely.
short of that.
Well, the way it's
In the-
described too is that the bullet went in. The Hulk spits it out. That's the crazy
Okay,
thing is
so,
like
like,
he,
what-
he did shoot himself.
Huh. So like, did he? But when he says that, do you interpret that like he like actually succeeded in somewhat killing himself until the Hulk awakened, or like, what do you mean?
So he describes the scene as saying that he pulls the trigger and then the Hulk, the other guy spits the bullet back out, or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
along those lines.
Yeah.
So
I don't
that's
think
the
it
implication
penetrates
there.
him,
Is,
but he.
I think it actually went.
It might
in,
penetrate
and
him.
the
It might
Hulk,
be like a werewolf situation where like
yeah, that's what I was
like,
thinking.
just-
Like
heals.
it
shoots
goes in,
back
he
out.
hulks out, and heals back out.
See, I
Yeah.
interpreted it as like a quick thing where it literally was like, like
Yeah.
he hulked out super fast, kind of, and like,
Also, your
Just-
adrenaline's
just-
got to be
yeah.
up, so maybe he was starting to turn into the Hulk at
Maybe.
that point.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
like it's
We'll
a whole
never know.
situation, right? So yeah, we'll never
And-
know because they won't go into it ever again because that was like.
hey, if we ever get
2012.
another Hulk movie, they'll do a flashback of him trying
Hey,
to kill himself.
Universal, give it to us, man.
In the second Civil War comics, which is based off like a precog determining like bad things that are going to happen,
Yeah.
that he predicted the Hulk was going to like destroy a city or something. The Avengers show up and like, hey, he's like, no, I'm good. I've been chill. I haven't turned into the Hulk in a while. And then we see Hawkeye from like very far away shoot an arrow through his head, and that kills him.
That classic.
Yeah.
I remember when that happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
How did you guys
so-
feel about the chemistry between her and Josh?
I liked it.
Yeah, it's fine.
I thought I like Josh was he was cool.
He's working with the bad people 100%.
That's I see a lot of
Okay,
people.
okay.
I can see that. I
suggesting
can see that. Yeah.
I'm hoping not, because I do genuinely think this guy is like nice and cool, and I would like Jen to be happy in the show so that she doesn't continue to be like this, as you're saying, Richard, like this negative ninny kind of person. Where
Just
like
a mopey drunk.
I don't care though. We've seen him a couple times. I don't care about this character at this point. So I don't
forgot
care
his
if he is
name.
one way or the other.
I thought Josh was the dog.
No, that's Jonathan.
Okay.
Great name,
Yeah.
Josh
Josh comes
Dog.
out and starts walking on his hind legs. I'm working with the other people.
I had like a little
look,
bit. My thing with this guy is he was a little cringy, of course, because like with the way
Yeah.
that they were writing it, where it's like these two have like that inherent, what's the word, chemistry, where like, they're just talking and riffing off each other. Like it's
Right.
cool beans, yeah, but it was also like a little too much at times. Where I was like, you guys don't even know each other, and you're like,
Well,
Yeah.
that's the writing of the show. Is
I guess,
men are
yeah.
evil, or the devil, or they're it's a perfect fit.
that's true. That'd be that's kind of annoying.
It's yeah, I don't know. I thought that scene was kind of cute. It was endearing. I'd like to see Jen happy as well because she's so awful to watch.
I think it was
but I
cute
totally
specifically
think
at the end when
she's-
she was ignoring the call. That was the cute part to me.
I
Other than that,
think
it was kinda
he's
cringy.
he's a bad guy though. I think he's working with the new bad guys, which I guess are just like 4chan incels.
Yeah, that's
that
what
whole
it
segment
seemed
was
like. Yeah.
crazy.
I get what they're doing with that scene because I know that I
Mhm.
guess the message is like obviously that type of
Well, that kind of stuff is
subculture
going
is
on right
bad.
now. Like
It is,
you see
100%.
that with the Little Mermaid at the moment. So
Mhm. And I
Like-
get that that idea is a real problem and
Mhm.
it is concerning, but I also think that handling it the way that they are is just pouring fuel onto that fire.
I
They're
think it
not
was fine
helping
though
that
because
situation.
it was a quick quick reference and subtle like this is who these people are. I don't think they focused on it too much, and to be honest, I think that's actually a bad thing because that was the only thing I cared about this episode. Like I didn't care about anything else. The one thing I cared about they barely touched on, and I'm like, okay, did we need this episode? And I think we didn't. Like we just got that little tease at the end.
Yeah,
I think a lot of issues with like the modern or like these like Disney Plus shows is that like they don't entirely know or like worry about like the end product. Like they're just like yeah, we're gonna have like 6 or 7 episodes of her just doing ram bullshit, and then we're gonna introduce the villain. You know, like
yeah, it just feels like they're winging it.
That's
Yeah.
my big thing, is I just feel
Really-
like it's aimless right now. And not to get onto
Yeah.
a Rings of
It
Power
is.
thing right now a little bit, but the last episode, I kind of might be a little bit on Richard's team where I'm like, this feels aimless, and we need to go somewhere. Like
It is
fuck.
100% aimless.
Yeah.
Because
That's my biggest problem with
like,
with
we're
Phase 4 is,
told-
like, where's this going?
I think
I mean, I can see
that's
where it's
pretty
going, like,
obvious.
it's-
Yeah.
the introduction of Sauron or like return of Sauron and all that.
Well, that's for that shit, but I'm just saying, I mean, like, it's taking its damn time to get there, is all I'm saying for that front. But
I mean, I don't think they're gonna introduce Sauron first episode and be like, "Ah, there we go, now fight him. You know, like
well, I get it's not going to be that AJ, but it's got to be a little bit better than what it is currently. I'm sorry.
they have some stuff. I like it.
They have Adar.
It's-
He sure is a dude.
It all just feels like right now, like the MCU is constantly having to deal with rewrites or obviously COVID problems, or they're putting out their own fires, and the result of this is now you have what seems, whether they have an idea or not, it comes across as directionless.
Yeah,
Like the average
I think
person
this
right
show
now is
more-
not going to have any idea what's going on.
Yeah, this show more than anything, I think, for sure. Because
Yeah.
we like they're establishing the show as Titania as the big villain. She's the big thorn in Jen's side, and she hasn't really been like a big thing until this episode and the last episode,
Yeah,
which was
but,
more
like-
sort of the legal sense. But
I think it's more like a there's like a secret other villain, whereas like
yeah, but we
they
don't,
introduced it like once, where it's like, oh, we couldn't get her blood, and then they just left it there, and like, okay,
Yeah,
well, no
and
one's
this
gonna pay attention
episode-
to that shit. Like,
this episode didn't expand on it. We have 3
Yeah.
more episodes left.
yeah, I get
Where-
where you're
where-
coming from. with
That's
that
the
for
thing
sure.
that I noticed, where it's like 3 more episodes. What the hell are we doing? That's how I felt with
Who the fuck is the
Power, where
villain?
It's like
It's
3
Mephisto.
more episodes left. What the hell are we doing? Like, that's my thing. That's what
Well,
I like.
just based on the name, so I didn't know this watching the episode. I've looked it up after. Intelligentsia is a like evil supergroup in the comics. Does feature some high-profile names such as MODOK and I think more importantly the leader. I don't think we're going to see MODOK in the show. I think they're saving
might be
him
the
for
leader.
It might be
Ant-Man.
the leader of what they just announced at D23 or whatever.
Yeah.
where
You know,
they-
that is a good point. It might be the leader trying to get the Hulk's blood again.
I think that would make the most sense, and I think we'll see in Captain America: New World Order, Red Hulk.
Yeah, I just think if like they're gonna have a villain like the leader, I think they need to do more than just one scene where a bunch of fucking idiots try to get her blood and fail. You know?
I think he's gonna succeed in getting She-Hulk's blood.
Yeah.
because I think that's what they're setting up. He's
I think
trying to
so
get her
too, like-
blood, and
like-
he's gonna use it to make Red Hulk.
Well, even
Yeah.
with what they had at
Yeah.
the very end there, because they had the syringe that was damaged, and the implication that I kind of got from that was that they might have a little bit of cells on it or some shit like that. That's what
I don't know
No?
because I don't even think it pierced her skin at
It
all.
didn't I mean,
I don't
maybe, but
think
like
they
it
did,
might
no.
have just like I don't know. Maybe they didn't need to get her blood per se, but they had a bunch of shit.
Scrape
on
some
there.
flakes off of her
another thing
arm.
they could. That's another thing they could have done is like either they do have her blood, or like the next episode is like where I don't know, she slips and scratches her arm or something, and then they get the blood. You know, then it's like oh shit, something is going on.
Well,
you know,
because
like,
they
just
show
a
that, like,
small
they-
thing could have fixed it.
They show on the computer screen that they clearly do have her stuff in a sense. Like they have
They're monitoring
some
her.
information, like on her like genetic structure. Like I'm looking at all like the weird shapes and shit on the screen now. I mean,
They're like scanning her or something.
macro blood levels. Like they have it. It seems like they have it, but I mean maybe they need a little bit more information. But
So I doubt that they'd go in this direction, but I don't know if you guys caught it, but Mr. Immortal, when he's talking about his ex-wives and where he got all of the money, he mentions that he got it from Baroness Cromwell,
okay,
who is a vampire in the MCU. Or in Marvel, not in the MCU.
because I heard that.
Oh,
I looked
yeah,
that
like
up
the gold.
immediately.
Bring on
I
the
looked that up
vampires!
immediately, dude. Because I was like, that
Yeah,
sounds
that's-
so familiar.
That was
What,
an
like he
intentional
got the
name
gold
drop.
from her?
Like that didn't that they didn't name drop her for no reason, unless obviously it was just for that dumb, pointless divorce scene.
It
But-
honestly, with this show, it might have been.
Who knows,
yeah.
dude?
I don't think it'll,
you never
like-
know, man.
I think
It could be Morbin time, bro.
I think it could honestly just be like you're saying. I don't think it'll be a thing that goes into effect in this
Immediately.
sense. Yeah, like I think it would just be like she shows up and then people.
It
will
might
like,
be
like, he was
eventually,
referenced,
like,
or
She
was
will show up, but I don't think it'll be like a very immediate
Yeah.
sort of this show kind of deal.
Yeah,
I really want
Because
to
they've done that a
the
lot, where
person-
they just name drop someone and then just don't do anything with it for like another like year or two after that.
Right. I just really want to believe that the person that's out here trying to figure out what's going on with She-Hulk and trying to get She-Hulk blood is just fucking Morbius. Because I just want that.
Yeah. And then it's just Jared Leto is in the show.
Like, dude, what if that's how the show ended? Like Jared Leto
If-
walks out and he like
I
he,
shit
like
you not, if
injects
Jared Leto
himself with
comes
She-Hulk
out,
blood. And he's like, it's
Jared
Morbin
Leto-
time.
With
teleports in
Vulture
from
there.
another dimension and says it's Morbin time, 10 out of 10
I would
show.
I'd forgive
Vulture-
the entire show, dude.
Vulture needs to be standing behind him. I think we should team up.
I'm feeling something sinister brewing here.
I would
I guess, like-
instantly change my mind about everything that I've said about this show, like in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
Oh.
Mr. Immortal is part of the Great Lakes Avengers.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
he
you didn't know that.
in like the comics, he's like destined to see what's like after the end of the universe.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that aspect of the show. I know you guys said you didn't like that side shit, but like the Mr. Immortal stuff was, I don't know, like a little bit of like a nice brevity to a character that some people are probably gonna be like, oh my god, they didn't take Mr. Immortal seriously. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
I don't think
sometimes,
I don't even think the
Who
comics
was
take
really
Mr. Immortal
looking for-
seriously.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
but
who's-
some people probably are.
Mr. Immortal, my favorite character. You
Wow,
ruined
he's
him.
my
Who is that
favorite
character,
Marvel
Till, that
character.
we were talking about on the D23 thing? That's going to be the bad guy for what fucking show? Fuck. He was.
Oh, the hood.
the Hood. Exactly. Like it's like some people
Love
like
the
I don't
Hood.
even know the Hood. If I'm being honest, like
This
The
show,
Hood's my
like
favorite villain.
of this episode, like the side stuff, I enjoyed, but like I definitely didn't like it as good as the last episode's sort of side story.
what was the side story in the last one? Sorry, because I'm
What
already
is the
forgetting that shit.
lawyer and like that girl were
Yeah,
going
that was
on
a
like
great
Oh
a
right, yeah,
journey
they went
to-
and like talked to the fashion guy. Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Pug was
We need
in
more of
this.
that guy, man. That guy is funny.
Yeah, where's Pug?
For
I
sure.
like that guy.
Pug's the
That
best character in the
guy's
show.
always the funniest shit when he's on the screen. Like I love him.
The whole time that like the two lady lawyers, I can't remember their names, are like chatting to Mr. Immortal and like just bickering and shitting all over him the entire time. Like that was to me kind of made that entire divorce scene just awful to watch. Where it's just like, God, I get it. Yes,
Yeah.
Queen.
I was
Move
immediately
on.
watching that scene, and I could tell in my heart's soul that you guys were not gonna like it, just because I was like, this is not how
That's fine
this
with
is
that.
not how legal stuff is handled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
That's all I could think.
I
The
know,
whole
and
time
I
was
was like, God, we're
this
just
isn't
gonna
how this
hate
works.
this.
Like IRL, this
I
would
did.
not hold up in court.
And I was like, I don't care, because I just thought it was funny. I enjoyed that aspect of it.
I would find it funny if it were handled, I guess, in like a different way. I don't know how to explain this. I've said this on a different episode. I feel like if you're gonna make legal shit matter in the MCU, then you have to stick to it. You
Yeah.
can't bounce around.
You gotta actually like start citing some real life stuff, being like, oh, in this
Only in
instance,
New
I guess
York.
he did die. So like,
Like you're telling me that this dude is sitting on piles of gold and one of his ex-wives just wanted 20 seconds of eye contact? Get the fuck out of here, dude. Get the fuck out of here. That's so
she's
I thought
okay
that
with
was pretty funny. I thought that was pretty funny. That all that person needed was literally some emotional eye contact with the guy. And and the fact that he was trying to get it down from like, what was it? It was like 15 seconds, which is like nothing. He was like, can we please try to get that lower? Like the idea that this immortal guy is stuck in these little moments is funny to me.
It just kind of feels like Josh Whedonisms were in like early Avengers and Star Wars, where it's just gags for the sake of gags, and they just come so fast and they mean nothing that I have a hard time finding the humor in them because I don't care about them.
That
I want
man
to
is
see the
playing
actual
Galaga.
story. What?
Well, that
man
was
is
in-
playing
that was
Galaga.
That was an improv from Robert Downey Jr.
And then they just put it into the scene though too, because it cuts back to him playing Galaga. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about though, Richard? Where it's like the flow of the movie is kind of disrupted by things like that, or?
Yes, and I like. Don't get me wrong. Like it's fine. I think it's handled at its best in like Phase 1 and the Avengers, and then it's like Josh Whedon was like, oh, people really like it when I'm quippy, and so it's everywhere.
That's how he always was though. That's what his writing.
Yeah,
was always
That's what I
Well,
was saying intensely with Thor Ragnarok to Thor Love and Thunder, where it's like they loved Taika's movie so much that they were like, go hard as your
they
your style, and
overcorrected.
they overdid it. Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. Is like Josh Whedon's writing hasn't always been that way. If you go back and you watch like Buffy or like the Angel Show or any of that stuff, I love that stuff. And like, yes, there are Whedonist quips, right? But the show was also really heavy in the emotional shit.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Phase 2 and beyond, up until they got rid of Whedon, it's just like, oh my God, dude, just tone it down. I get it. I know what you're doing, but Jesus Christ. Can we focus on the plot, please, instead of your dumb jokes every 6 seconds?
What was the second Buffy's name again? Like, what was like the second Slayer?
Oh fucking no!
Fuck, come on.
I can get past the first season. I'm sorry.
Really? Oh wow, I loved Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like that was, I got into it because of my older brother, though. To be honest, so like probably had some family things. So
Yeah.
Before Whedon
an
got
old
canceled,
shitty
I was like, I really liked a lot of his stuff, so I figured I would like Buffy, and I kept getting recommended Buffy, so I watched the first season. And I'm like, this isn't for me.
It's a lot harder to watch now. I'm an old man, and I watched Buffy regularly as it was airing. So for me, it's got like a bit of a nostalgia factor to it. Going back and watching it now, I'm like, oh man, 2001 was weird.
what season were the Gentlemen in?
I have no idea.
Because that's
don't
when I
know what
like.
the fuck
It was
that is.
around then that I think I didn't watch after that season, but that was the best episode I think of the entire show. Like holy shit.
But no, I feel like She-Hulk suffers from that same kind of thing where it's just like it's tone down the jokes or make the jokes better. When it's like constant lighthearted quips, it just kind of they come too fast and they mean nothing and barely even get a chuckle out of me.
I think
laugh
it's just
the
a
most
show
when-
that doesn't know what the fuck it wants to be.
That's my biggest problem is that this show just feels like it has like who is the target audience?
Like, do you want it to be about superheroes and some action with a little bit of comedy mixed in? Do you want to go straight comedy? Do you want to be a lawyer show? What the fuck is it? You know, like
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have like a real identity, and they're struggling to find it.
I'm fine with the show as a concept, and I think like on paper, this is a show for me. A comedy set in the MCU is a fun little law firm, whatever, and mix in some superheroes and like references. Like I'm all for that.
If
like,
that's the
being a
case,
comic
then
book
don't
fan and
fucking
fan.
like
But
don't make it
this-
an action. Like don't put action.
Yeah.
in, you
And
know?
I've been fine with the show like so far, but like this episode like just took me out of it. Like if I was to rewatch the show, I'd probably just skip this episode.
Yeah, I
Like
feel
with this show, I think Taika Waititi being a director for that show like this could have been better.
Yeah, I think that would
Probably.
have had some actual like flow to it and some like.
Oh, hey,
Kaz,
Kaz,
get
what's
the
up,
hell
man?
out of
I
here!
don't
You're
think- I don't
blocking
think they would've
Phil's
had-
face.
Because if they're going more comedy for this, then like I think Taika Waititi's comedy like chops, look at his little face in the corner, would have been better suited for this.
Kaz
Yeah,
is just flying
I would
around
have gone
our
the other
faces
direction.
They wouldn't have the budget
I think
for
that this show
that.
would have been much better if it were in the Netflix MCU.
now.
You
Really?
think so?
Yes, if She-Hulk were shown as a street level lawyer in the same universe as Matt, doing like actual street level shit, I think it would have been a much better show.
I just
'cause
don't
it
think
would have
that
been taken a little
She-Hulk's,
bit more
like-
seriously.
That's the thing. I don't think that she is the kind of character that I would really want to see in that same avenue they were taking Daredevil and Luke Cage and Iron Fist. And
Well,
all that
that's
kind of thing.
I think that's what
I
we're
think we'll
saying though.
see-
Is it would have been better as either or, like either go
Yeah.
full action or go full comedy. But what they're doing is it just seems directionless.
Yeah, I get
I'd
that.
be cool with it being like a comedy lawyer show, like like that whole thing. But like taking out the action
What they're
thing,
trying
like
to do.
if we were like actually in the courtroom dealing with shitty little like Mr. Immortal cases every week, would you guys prefer that, or like what would you want?
Yes, 100%. I would have loved to have seen this show as just like Seinfeld, but with She-Hulk.
Hold on, Kaz.
Yeah, no.
What do you want, Kaz? What do you want?
Yeah.
Speak
Not
your
to
piece.
interject.
And then get out of here.
Tail plays. Well, welcome to Maclunkey Squadron. Very sorry. I've just come to not disrespect, but I've come to distract for a hot second. I need Sam to know if, let's say, in my Discord, Vix and LV were verbally assaulting me. Would you come to defend my honor?
Absolutely.
I got it.
Hey, Vix, what the hell,
that
Vix?
is
What
it.
is
Hey,
happening?
Vix,
Come
yeah,
on,
man.
See, Vix.
I would
Yeah.
not.
Well, honestly, it depends.
Richard,
What's she saying? What is she saying?
She's just saying Taken has more power than. Well, everyone has more power than me, not Taken. Because I was my Taken owns.
Taken is
also
like
Richard.
is like an eldritch being. So yeah, I
Exactly.
understand.
Taken's different. Taken's a different story. Also, Richard, I love you, and I know you wouldn't actually verbally assault me, and you would
Stop it! Stop! Come on, get out of here! Get out of here!
You know he would.
Go away!
Because
No, he
Richard's a
wouldn't.
little bean.
You're gonna
Exactly.
make me blush.
Rich is an egg bean. He thinks like
no,
he's
I'm
all
an
mean.
angry dude.
You're an egg.
He's brutal.
Nah,
He's brutal to everyone, but then he loves me.
I
Get
think
outta
it's
here.
all front. You're not angry at all.
I'm a
Yeah.
boiled egg.
Is that all Vic said? Because if that's all Vic said, then damn, dude.
That was it.
Because
Yeah.
who doesn't have more power than you?
Yeah.
You know what, Sam? Fuck you.
I mean,
Idiot.
speaking of which, who doesn't have more power than you, right?
I
there we go.
You damn it! You beat me to it. Damn it. Okay. Well, where
like,
were we?
no, dude. I honestly, if we got a show with She-Hulk where it was actually like a kind of like a dry humor courtroom drama with like the same kind of comedy as like The Office, I would love the shit out of
That
it.
would have been like, oh my god!
I-
Can you imagine
I
like a
agree, that would be
She-Hulk where they
great.
do actually have like cutaways to like them talking about what happens?
And it makes sense. It breaks the fourth wall. It's perfect.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
That would have been a
So
really
you
good
would-
show.
Except we're
You would
getting-
want like the entire like main story, whatever it is, because we still don't really know the like whole like main story out of it. Just do
Nix
like
it.
everything in the.
Well,
I
like,
think that's the
imagine-
best thing Marvel can do is stop trying to connect everything. Let
Could-
there
like, could
be
you
one-off
imagine-
things.
Like in that fight with like the wrecking crew, like she gets stabbed with like, the thing, but like it doesn't work, and then immediately cuts away to be like, what the hell was that? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
like,
I think that would have been an amazing show, and we would have known, what this show was going for.
yeah.
I think the thing is though, right? Because we're saying two different things, kind of. We're saying that this phase is aimless, while also simultaneously saying that we don't really want this show to do anything. So like that's
Well, yeah,
kind
that's
of like a hard
fair.
balancing
I'm not
act.
saying
You know
that.
what I mean? Like
I'm not saying that, but
get
I
you,
respect
Phil,
that
get you.
opinion.
You want the narrative like elements that we're getting from the show for sure. But I mean,
I think
It's just
I
that balancing
personally
act,
just
right?
prefer
Like-
if the shows were their own self-contained thing and the movies were their own self-contained thing.
Yeah.
Like
I just don't.
I
think
would
that
just
that's
rather
gonna
watch it
happen,
like that.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't.
hell no.
We've had that, and I thought it was like disconnected, and we're still having Twitter arguments over whether stuff is canon or not. and I hate that.
It was like
and,
the Netflix
and
stuff.
I want to
where-
go back there.
Yeah, like people were just kind of like very iffy on it because it just never did anything. You know what I mean? Like it was there, and they mentioned the green guy, but that's
It was
really all they
mostly
did.
it was mostly timing and political stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
As the background, but like the base is though, like these aren't like two separate companies that have rights to these characters. They were both Marvel production companies. They're both under Marvel, and they were pitched as MCU properties. So until they say no, we're scrapping all that stuff that happened, they are still connected to the MCU.
Yeah, because like with Daredevil coming in, like that is like directly.
Yeah, but
connected
people are
to
like,
that.
oh no, it's a variant. I'm like, when they released the show after, or when they did Ages of Shield after Age of Ultron, they didn't have the fucking multiverse saga in mind. Like,
Right.
they didn't say like, oh, this Daredevil is a variant. Like I think they're bringing in the same Netflix Daredevil, but I
think,
I'm
wasn't
never
Agents
going to
of
make
S.H.I.E.L.D.
anybody happy. So
Wasn't Agents of Shield actually like decanonized?
Yeah, it was you can.
no, it's the writer said the writers
It's a
never said
different
it's,
universe.
no, they went through time travel in that show. The show does not like it discredits itself. It kind of like just kind of ruins the argument of time travel in the MCU and kind of like destroys that theory and everything. And they completely disregard Infinity War and everything in that show and don't address it. And the writers have said we're not going to look at the movies because they kind of like ruin our flow in creating the show. So we're just going to like go and create the show the way that we want it. But they never said that it's not part of the MCU. It's a complete like it's like I can't think of the word I'm thinking of, but it's like it's not, it's kind of like ruins everything. Like it's
Doesn't
not
that
consistent.
make it not canon though? Like once it crosses into a line where it ruins the actual story.
In my mind, like I'm not saying it is or it isn't. In my mind, watching the show, I'm like the last 2 seasons, at least, kind of disregard everything, and it makes it not canon anymore. But the rest of the show was canon,
straight up canon.
Yeah, and in my mind, it's like whatever time travel happened, like the first instance of time travel, that spun off into its own separate like timeline and.
You're telling me Tony Stark did not invent time travel?
So I think
mean, like,
at some point the show split off.
For when the thing is like when we get Daredevil Born Again, like I get that it's kind of taking it like we are getting those exact same characters, but I also think it's just a soft like reboot of that where it's like if you hadn't watched those shows, like
phrasing, because everybody has a different meaning of that phrasing. I hate using it. Just say like whether it's in the same universe or not. And I think it is in the same universe. I don't care about saying if it's a soft reboot or not. It's a new story. They're starting like with a fresh new story, but it's still set in the universe.
Well,
what we were saying last week is that like
what I more so mean with that is that like I just don't think that they're going to bring a lot from the Daredevil show to the forefront. Like I think that if you watch that, cool beans, they're going to like be like, yep, it still happened for you, but it's not going to like matter. I think going forward.
Yeah, exactly. that's what makes it a soft reboot.
Like I think that
it's a new story with the same character, but who knows if anything that happened before is canon or not? It's always going to be nebulous.
Yeah, and I hate that. Like I would like them to stay. No confirmation on that. But I think people like overanalyze the soft reboot thing. And they're like, oh, they said soft reboot. That means nothing matters. Like that show doesn't exist anymore, and that's not exactly what they said.
That's not. Yeah, no.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Marvel has shown us that soft reboots don't matter anymore. Everything's connected somehow.
You talking about Multiverse of Madness?
Multiverse of Madness, the last Spider-Man movie. Like everything is connected now, whether you like it or not.
I'm fine with that kind of stuff.
If
I don't want to
have of Madness, they go through a universe where a giant Netflix logo and like the huge dun dun happens. I would have like laughed my ass off, dude. That would have been perfect. Like,
I'm fine with the multiverse connected stuff. It's when people are like, oh, how are they? I hope they add this aspect of the Fox X-Men characters and stories into the MCU. I'm like, I don't want that.
Yeah,
I had my fun with
definitely
this.
Don't want that.
Yeah, I had my
Because-
fun with the Fox X-Men. I'm ready to move on. Like it had its highs and lows, but I'm done with it. Let's
That's the
start off
difference,
with
is
a
that,
new
like,
MCU X-Men.
The new MCU X-Men is a hard reboot. They're not going to have anything with the old
Good.
X-Men, except for I guess Professor X that one time. But still,
See, and that was
But again,
already
that's the
kind of
multiverse
weird.
thing.
I was fine with it, but it was still kind of weird for me. Like, I was like scared we were gonna get like a because everyone was like, "Oh, Multiverse of Madness, dude! They could potentially bring in the X-Men through Fox Universe," and I was like, "What a fucking lazy way to bring in the X-Men into your fucking show." I would hate that. Hugh Jackman's like, "I'm back again," even though I said I'm done. Like, fuck.
he also
I
said
don't-
that
I
if
don't want
Disney
Hugh
made an
Jackman.
X-Men movie, he would come back.
Fuck.
I know he said.
But I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna.
I would love for him to come back in Deadpool as like some sort of
Joke.
reference or
Yeah,
joke.
like some sort of
fun
cameo or some shit.
Yeah.
That's it.
Like maybe
I don't
he
want
plays,
him
like,
as Wolverine
in a
in the
movie,
MCU.
like in the universe. He plays Wolverine.
That would be
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Do him like a
Yes.
stage performance. Did you guys ever see Night at the Museum 3, I think?
Yeah.
He was in that movie and he was on like a stage performance at one point playing.
Oh, I do remember that.
He goes like full on Wolverine on the stage. It's so funny. That's like the highlight of that movie for me. So if he was in like a very self-aware role like that in the MCU, that'd be great.
So there's this group in the comics, in Marvel Comics, called the Squadron Supreme,
Yeah.
and they are a parody, like a direct parody of the Justice League. Like it's the exact same parody characters and everything. They have their own Superman, Green Lantern, all that stuff. And I think I read a rumor somewhere online once that Marvel was planning to like introduce them as like a TV show, like parody of the Avengers or something.
Hmm.
And I would love that if they showed up like that. It's a way to introduce like Marvel's Justice League into the MCU.
Marvel's
I'm
Justice
I'm
League.
terrified of
Yeah.
of
And
them
then do it
adding the
better.
X-Men in. I don't want them to do it. I'd prefer if they just left it alone.
Like in general, like you don't want like any mutants.
Not really. I mean, maybe like adding in a character here and there is fine. I do not want MCU X-Men at all.
You don't
I'm
want
excited
X-Men
to
at
see-
all?
I'm excited
I'm
to see
so
what they
afraid.
do with it.
Because we
have
were
to
talking
see
about like
how-
having like not having Wolverine as like the main like
Yeah.
only X-Men that anyone cares about. Like they should
Yeah.
definitely expand more on that because there's so
Yeah.
much more to the X-Men than just fucking Wolverine.
Wolverine is
Well, that's
honestly
the
like in the
problem
comics.
is-
He's like a background character of that group mostly. Like he's like the guy that you get to help you do a
And like
task.
most of the time he's a part of the fucking Avengers. Like,
he's off doing
He's part
other
of
things,
several
usually.
teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I think that
if
just
I
like,
think of an X-Men, my guy is probably Cyclops. Like I don't like Cyclops that much, but he's like the guy.
Well, he's like the poster boy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
the,
like
the
the-
poster boy, yeah.
I
But like my
think
favorite
just
one, I
like-
would say like Nightcrawler.
just
Okay,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
World War Hulk stuff. I think that they're just too far gone to put X-Men into this world in any way that makes any sense.
Well, they,
No,
I
but
mean, in
here-
Miss
here's the
Marvel, they
thing.
already did.
In this show, they're introducing several characters that where origin story is out the window. We just accept that these characters exist in this world, like
Yeah.
Mr. Immortal and
Titania,
Titania. Like, where the hell did they come from? We never ask that question because they just show up, and we just accept that they're there. And that can be the same sort of situation on mutants. But I think Marvel's going the route where something happened, mutants are starting to appear. But we see that with Miss Marvel, and I
Yeah.
think they're going to probably implement the snap in some way. The snap kind of like triggered
Altered their
something that-
genes.
yeah, which if that's the case, I honestly don't see how they're going to introduce a Professor Xavier, Wolverine, and Magneto into this universe.
Those are the characters that I'm very confused of how they're gonna deal with because of their age and their like history, especially Magneto. Like I don't know what you can do to like.
They're going to change the character
Yeah.
completely.
They're
There's
gonna
no
have
way
to
they're
saying,
going to
Like they're
introduce that
literally
character.
gonna have
Well,
to make a totally
they
different
can't
character.
do that.
I don't think
Yeah,
they could have
honestly.
convincing like old supervillain from Auschwitz anymore because that was now so long ago that
Exactly,
like
yeah.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
I
even if they
think-
push this
I don't
timeline
think-
forward, I don't think that they could actually have characters like Professor X and Magneto in the MCU.
I don't
and
think
just
they can,
pretend
yeah.
like they've had them exist this whole time. They just
No,
can't do that.
I honestly think they might. I think they're going to change. They're going to introduce Wolverine, but they're going to change his origin and everything about the character.
we
And
were saying
I-
earlier,
I
me
don't
and
think-
Sam, about like how Wolverine is like currently locked up in Canada, like being experimented on, and like how he could be the villain of like the first X-Men movie and then join them. Like in
Yeah, I mean that's
post-credits.
how I think that's. I know in the Ultimate Comics that's how he was. He was like part of the Brotherhood of.
That'd be really
mutant-
cool. Like they find him and he's fucking crazy and trying to kill them.
Because he's
That'd
a
be
feral guy. I'd like that if like he was very feral at the beginning. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
for
get
sure.
that we've seen the whole plot line of him like with his memory lost and whatever, but like I still think it's fine. I think it's cool to go down that way.
I just don't. I don't think like I have a feeling that Marvel's just gonna scrap Professor X and Magneto because I think it's just easier to forget those characters and start with a different story for the X-Men.
They're going to have to go completely different, and unfortunately, I know, Till, that you like the politics in the comics, but X-Men is going to bring in a whole new era of bringing in modern day politics into the MCU, and that scares the piss out of
I'm
me.
fine with it in that regard because that's what their
that's the
purpose
point
is.
of the that's what the point of those characters are. That's
Yeah.
like
No,
that's
I
how
get it. I just don't want it. I don't want
And
to see that.
all of Marvel
You're gonna
Comics in
get it
general.
anyway.
Marvel Comics has always been that way since the beginning of Captain
That's-
America.
That's
Like,
not
Yeah.
entirely true, though. Like, yeah,
I mean,
any comic has had politics involved, whether it's Marvel or DC. But you can't act like it's every comic is political. Like, it's not.
no,
Well,
I-
that's
there's
every
aspects
comic,
of
for sure,
it.
but like the
But the
X-Men
vast,
have, like, an
vast,
inherent,
vast
like, thing.
majority.
But when
The
they were
vast
created,
majority
they were
have nothing
created
to do with
for a
politics.
purpose.
I get
Usually-
it. I understand that, and like I read the comics. I own a lot of the comics that have political ties to them. But we have to also recognize that if you're looking at politics in comics, even with something that is inherently from the get-go political, like the X-Men, still 80% of X-Men comics are just comic book bullshit and
Well, for
not
sure.
politics.
Like they just
Oh, yeah,
involve like the background characters that have these things going on, though, is what I would say. Like that.
I wouldn't
Right.
say that much because the core issue of the X-Men still remains through the through line through most of the comics. But there is a lot of bullshit. Like there's like some crazy, dumb villains I can't stand. Like there's like two characters that are the exact same in Marvel Comics: Arcade and
Oh, yeah.
Mojo. They're the exact same characters, and I hate both of them. And they always show up for like the X-Men, and I'm like, just stop making comics with these characters. Like I can't stand them as villains. But there's like
Yeah.
dumb shit like that all the time in comics for sure.
DC did it relatively recently with two characters, one called Safe Space and one called Snowflake. And I'm not
I
kidding.
thought that
That's
was,
real.
That was
I thought
Marvel,
that was
I thought.
Marvel.
I thought
That
it
was Marvel.
Was that
yeah.
Marvel?
I remember
Okay.
hearing about
There was
that, and
there's
I-
a big
guys, I'm
there's
not
a big uproar for that, and I think they like quickly like stopped making
They
comics. of
they
those
nixed
characters.
it real
Because
quick, but that's
those
my
were-
fear is
I hated that, and that's coming from someone who's like usually okay with a lot of things. I hated those. Like,
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
that's my problem. is-
Especially
is I
the
don't-
naming, Safe Space and like Snowflake.
it
Like,
was.
It's just stupid. It's bad.
There was a character that literally they said used internet gas. What the fuck does
Right.
that even
And-
imply?
That's what I'm
Marvel-
afraid of with like the X-Men stuff in the MCU is how far down that road are they going to go with putting in like new stuff like the X-Men in the MCU?
I don't
Is it
think
going to
that kind of thing.
come across as like genuine, or is it going to come across as a giant company just pandering for a buck?
Well, now
And
that's
that
the
scares me
problem
so
with
badly.
the world currently, though. I feel where it's like this idea that we see everything as like pandering. I just don't think that that's always true. Like, because sometimes like we choose to put certain people in certain roles, yeah, but like I don't think it's pandering to be like.
It's fine if the movies are not for you. I mean, they're made for other people too. But I guarantee you, when the X-Men movie, whatever it is going to come into existence, it's definitely going to have a heavy influence on supporting gay rights
Yep.
and trans
Sure.
rights and all that
100%.
stuff. Yeah. Marvel also
the-
tried to make a comic with Northrop Grumman, and people hated that and they canceled that because like I kind of like goes against everything that Iron Man is about.
Mhm.
So that's hilarious.
Time will tell. We'll
Time
see.
will tell you. Do you guys have any other closing thoughts or anything on this episode of She-Hulk, or what you guys
This
think will happen
episode-
in the future?
This wedding episode would have been more fun with Madison in it.
Madison.
I think so. With two Y's, and, 2 N's and
Oh
Y.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Gee, I was like, who the fuck
Yeah,
was
no,
that?
completely agree.
But not what
last
you
episode-
think.
Oh, what if it was
Last
her
episode's
wedding?
gonna
See, that
be-
would have been great.
That would that would have been funny though.
If it was her and Wong,
Oh my god! I would have. The implications would have been amazing.
I would have loved that.
No,
That
I
would've
think
made
it would
this
have
a
been
good
funny if
episode.
Wong was just like a bridesmaid.
And and
Like
Mephisto was the
officiating.
guy. It was the priest.
I'm
Mephisto's
excited for the
throwing-
last couple of episodes. I mostly just because I want to see what they're gonna do, and I really want to see if the last episode's gonna be two big CGI creatures
Yep.
fighting each other.
I just don't think
100%.
that it can be at this point.
Sam, you say that like
Why not?
Mephisto as the priest. I think they should. That's a brilliant idea. I think they should just very casually introduce Mephisto.
Yeah, like I think we said that a couple episodes ago. Like Mephisto would be in the jury or something like that with one of the things. Like that would be hilarious.
They just show him like
It's gonna
buying
be like
donuts.
the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. He's gonna show up as a joke at one point.
And it'll piss
Probably.
off everybody. You
Yeah.
Well, I think they
guarantee
should
it.
just be like, he's just a guy that just shows up once and that's it.
It's all
That'd
it's
be
little
hilarious.
Neffy.
John Mephisto.
John Mephisto.
I'm also wondering where the show is going because we have 3 episodes left. We still don't really know anything about the dumb backstory other than honestly the only conclusion I have in mind is they're using this 4chan Reddit thing or whatever to recruit people like the Wrecking Crew to try to I don't know where
I
are these people
completely
coming
forgot
from?
about that point.
Do they hate superheroes? Do they hate She-Hulk specifically? Like what the
Dude, they
what's the
took
point
that
of
from
this?
straight out of real life inspiration.
I know, I don't know.
That's why
but
it's going to be Abomination. He's behind all of this because that's the only thing they can tie it back to.
No,
I am
it can't.
being
It literally
positive.
can't be. I mean, I'm not saying it literally can't be because it might be. Who fucking knows? But like, if it is, that would ruin it. I would hate that.
I don't know. I think it'll be
I
good.
don't know if the
If it was
Hulk
Abomination,
A
you
lot
want
of
to be him?
people. Well, a lot of people would be happy about that because like they're pissed off the Abomination isn't the Abomination.
Oh,
He's just some
for
fucking Chad or like,
whatever. He can get better and be in
a
something
fucking
else
loser
later.
now.
But
like-
I like it.
I am keeping it positive. I'm hoping that the next few episodes like will redeem it. I don't know. I don't know if it will, but I'm gonna keep positive. I'm not. I don't have any negative feelings about the show yet. Like I don't hate it. I don't think it's the
following
greatest. Absolutely not. Like, but I don't hate it. I don't think I hate any shows.
Well, it's following the same kind of trajectory that all the Marvel shows kind of follow, where like there's a kind of formula, and the episode that's like right before the last two is always like the shitty one.
I think.
So
Yeah,
you
I
think
think.
this next one's gonna be the worst?
No, how many episodes are left?
There's 9 episodes
Three.
of the show, so 3 more episodes. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that this episode's probably like the low point on the bell curve.
Okay.
I
And
hope so.
I think it'll pick back up from here. Now, I hate this show no matter what, but I think it'll pick back up from here until the last episode where it's going to take a sharp decline into a CGI shitfest. And then it ends there.
I think Marvel in general needs to like they've reached a pinnacle, like a point where they need to change their approach to this stuff.
Badly. You can really predict everything that's going to happen from episode 1 of any Marvel show.
Like because
I don't know what's going to happen in this.
I don't know if I would agree.
The only conclusion I have is that maybe the leader is recruiting people on
that's the thing.
message boards
A hard maybe.
to try to get She-Hulk's blood to introduce the leader and Red Hulk in the next Captain America movie. Maybe.
But that's the thing.
I have no idea.
We have no idea what the actual story is. So
And we only have
that's what
3
we
more
need to
episodes
change.
left. Like, it's weird. Like, that's a really bad thing.
We have
in my
no
opinion.
indication. Like that was the same with Hawkeye. They didn't introduce like Kingpin until the very last like 2 episodes.
And then they literally just kicked him away. Like, what the hell was that?
I mean, honestly, Moon Knight did the same thing where we don't really see the big villain until like the very, very end. It's the same formula, and I'm not necessarily saying that we know what's going to happen plot wise.
you have a
but-
double echo.
What the hell?
It's the same kind of like story beats constantly, just refresh, like swap the characters out, same thing.
The story, like this formula has worked for Marvel for the past 10 years, but it's getting dull now. It's getting to a point where they need to alter it in order to keep engaged.
It's hard to watch it and suspend my disbelief because it's everything. If you just swap characters out, it's the same story, just told over and over again.
How would you finish the show? Like, how would you like wrap the show up?
Well, that's hard to say because I wouldn't have written this show to be the way that it is.
That's fair.
Exactly, yeah. Like I wouldn't like at this point. If I was writing the show, it would be completely different. You know, like
Yeah. If I were to take over as a writer from this point forward, I would just have the show kind of fizzle out. Just have it be courtroom stuff until the end. It doesn't need to be connected to the big overarching MCU story. There doesn't need to be a big stupid fight scene at the end. Let the story end with Jen coming to terms with who she is as an individual and who she is as She-Hulk, and coming to accept both, and give her a proper closing story to her hero's journey instead of just making her an unlikable alcoholic.
I get
But they're
that,
not going
like,
to do that.
Yeah, like with all these shows, the rising action is always so like feelable. But like, so it would be interesting to have like instead the show just be kind of chill the whole time, rather than building towards like, oh shit, Abomination just ate an Infinity Stone and now he's becoming as big as a planet and he's gonna kill us all. Like, you know what I mean?
Like I would end this show by having Jen just kind of like accepting who she is, and then maybe we see her in her She-Hulk costume, and then there's like something bad happens. She's like, hey, I gotta go save the day. And then she jumps off and goes and beats a superhero, and we don't even see what happens. It just ends there. Roll credits.
Amazing Spider-Man 2, everybody.
Yeah, like I'm so cool with that. But what we're gonna get is Jen's gonna get into a big dumb CGI fight with a big dumb bad guy, and the show's gonna end with her still being a big dumb lazy character.
I hope the show gets better.
I'm pulling out hope.
Other than this episode, I've been enjoying the show, but I do want it to get better.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Let me just look at the episode list. What has been my least favorite episode so far? Because I would not call it this one.
Was it the first one? The pilot?
The first one was okay. What was... Maybe I didn't like the magic one. What was happening in that episode?
Zwang fighting demons.
But they had medicine.
Oh, this is
in
the
it.
date episode. This was the date episode. Yeah, I didn't really like this one because of all the guys and shit in it. And I get that like the episode after.
Oh, you're
that
jealous.
helped it.
Yeah, okay.
The guy in it kind of like helped in a sense that it made the next episode. It honestly, like these two episodes, if they were like linked, would have been probably better. But that's also something I want to say for Andor when we talk about that next week. Holy shit!
I have a lot to say about that.
I have things I want to say about Andor, but man, we're gonna have to wait on that, Richard.
Yep.
Wait, can you give me a little teaser? Can you give me a little teaser? Give me like 2 words. Give me 2 words.
Love it.
Oh really?
Oh,
okay. Well, fuck.
I thought you were gonna say you hate it because like I
Love
do
it.
too.
I'm okay
It's
with
everything
it.
I've ever
I'm
wanted.
okay with it, is what I'll say.
It's Star Wars in my favorite sense. It's just slice of life Star Wars, and I've wanted this for so long.
It's just a guy. Like, there's no fucking stormtroopers fucking chasing this guy down. There's no Jedi. It's just a guy trying to fucking get past like his past.
If anything, he's got literal goddamn wannabe stormtroopers coming after him. So
But
what does that do for me?
But that's expanding like different worlds, you know. Like instead of just getting fucking Tatooine or
save it, boys, save it.
Save it,
Okay,
save it,
yeah.
save it, AJ. Yeah. 'Cause, man.
But yes,
boy.
I agree. Thank God Richard likes this one too.
See,
I
I'm
could
all
not
bad.
handle another Richard hating a show that I like.
We're saving the big one for Rings of Power, so
Yeah.
That'll be a lot.
3-hour extended edition stream where it's just all of us screaming at each other about why we don't agree. Not all who wander are lost. You have to admit, Richard, that was good, at least.
No, I don't.
Are you kidding me? I honestly got emotional in that.
Oh boy, I'll
like
keep
that.
my thoughts until we
Wait,
do
which
it.
one? When was that?
Have you not seen the newest episode?
Not the newest episode.
Oh,
no.
sorry. Don't listen to me, AJ. Don't remember anything I just said.
Not all who wander. That's a line from the fucking Lord of the Rings. So
Shut the fuck up.
When we get
Can I
there,
ask
we'll get
why-
there.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes,
Wait.
absolutely.
Is Hulk coming back this show?
I think so. I
No.
think absolutely.
Maybe.
I think he's showing
I
up.
think
with
his
Scar.
son is gonna be
left?
showing up too.
I'm still sticking to that. That Scar is going to show up at the end of this.
I see that might be too much. I don't know. I don't know about that.
I think
just-
at most we'll get like a Zoom call, maybe even literally a Zoom call.
Yeah, it might.
Outer space Zoom call.
Yeah.
Like maybe Hulk returning and like he'll be like, "Oh look, a baby," or I guess it'll be like a 5-year-old child now, won't it?
I think that what we said is that he'll age double. I think that would be
Yeah.
good. Because,
Yeah.
man, I would not be okay with dealing with
So
another
this is my
baby.
son. He's 16 years old.
Yeah, and then Disney's
He'd
just
have
like,
to be a
baby
teenager."
Hulk, look at it, guys. Like, look
Yeah.
at all the merchandise we can make off of this guy.
Baby Hulk for
avoid-
sure, yeah.
Yeah, to avoid the Baby Yoda stuff, it's going to have to be a teenager at the
Yeah.
very minimum.
Yeah.
Or like give him like the tattoos he has in like the show in the comics.
That's
They
all
can
I got
do
on
it.
She-Hulk, though.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Be
Yeah,
sure to
thanks
definitely
for
go
having
check
me.
out Brutal Richard and Till Plays on their respective channels. They are awesome. They do great stuff.
Don't come to my stream.
No, definitely go to his stream and throw shit at him because it's the most
Yeah, you can
entertaining
throw
thing.
eggs at him.
Stay out.
Stay out.
He's using that old reverse
For toilet
psychology.
paper.
We're full. Get out.
Who do we want to raid? I see Iceberg say this playing Knights of the Old Republic, so let's go with that.
That's the one.
What a classic.
The shout out isn't
Never
working.
played it.
Is it? What the hell?
You've never played it?
Never
Hey,
played it.
no, Till, don't
I-
worry.
I've-
Don't worry, Till. I only have watched people play this game because it looks like trash. What? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Richard. I'm sorry, but there was a time I didn't play this game when it came out. So looking back on it, I'm like, holy fuck, I
Dude,
can't play that. And when it gets remastered, I'll play it. But fuck.
End this stream so I can get out of here.
Okay,
Hey,
fine,
you're
fine, fine.
hating
I'm
on
so
shit,
mad at you.
Like, we could do the other.
Yeah,
Like,
what the
we
hell,
do the same.
Richard? You can't handle it.
No.
This is
No
what it
double
feels like,
standards
bitch.
here, Richard. Fuck that game. It sucks.
It's
my
clunky.
God.
It's stupid. I'll read you a line right
Maclunkey.
now. This is a hunting lodge. I purchase the sportsman I bring in. It's not a bad title job. That's a line. Look at those
Brilliant.
Gamorreans in the background. This game will look great when it gets remastered, I'll say. that's what I'll say for sure, but goddamn.
It's on hold indefinitely.
I had a guy
Oh.
on a YouTube comment fight get on me and be like, "You're only gonna play this when it gets remastered. You're a trash fan." And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't want to deal with clunky controls for however long this game is, dude.
I just replayed it last month.
Really? Shit,
Yeah.
dude, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's only my favorite thing.
All right, well, on that note, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you next week. Maclunkey.
Maclunkey.
Clunky.
Oh, I didn't do the fucking raid message. Just put it in there. Maclunkey. Oh, Richard.
That me. All right, I gotta go. My sister's car battery died.
I'm already following.
Shit. All
Maclunkey Squadron.
Oh, okay.
I'll catch you
Oh,
guys
wow,
later.
Okay.
How are you?
right, see you later, Richard. Thank you for joining us today,
That
Till.
guy.
What you were playing today?
Thanks for having me.
Well, I had 2 viewers. Damn.
That's all good.
I will. Hopefully, I can show up for another episode before this show ends.
Oh, we gotta shout it. They literally are putting our highlight there. That's amazing.
Oh my god, the front mass is down.
I'm dead. Like,
I'm dead too.
clip that.
What a moment. Because I heard Chasm, what's happening? And then the explosion. Nice clip. That was a good clip.
How is everyone doing? How was your stream?
All right, I gotta go.
What were you talking about in your talk show and podcast?
All right, Till. Catch you later, man.
And
Thank you again.
yeah, how's your weekend going, really? What's so special about Comad's father? We're great. We were discussing She-Hulk. Oh,